What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Gillstrap Garage. You can see this nice clean Dyna that I got here behind me. We're gonna get down today and do some motor mounts. If you clicked on this video, there's a chance that you're riding a Dyna and you get that little dance, that little shimmy when you're going through the corners or maybe some high-speed straightaways. This might be a solution for you on how to fix that. No guarantees, but this is good maintenance to do. We're gonna do some motor mounts. Here's a nice front. I don't remember the brand on this one. I'm gonna have to open it up. Definitely not OEM, supposed to be a big upgrade. OEM rear mount and the bee's knees right here, the Sputhe stabilizer. I've never installed one of these. I want one personally, haven't got one yet. Maybe one day, it's on the wish list. But yeah, we're gonna get down and tear this thing apart. So I'm gonna have to take off this little crash guard right here so I can access the front mount bolts. The back is a little tricky to get to. It's not bad. It is hidden. Oh, let's see if I can show you. Let me flip the camera. So it's hidden right behind the master cylinder right there. You can see that one bolt right there. Oh, see both bolts? That's gonna be your rear mount. And the mounting bolts are right there behind the tire. So those two bolts gotta come out. Those two bolts gotta come out. The ones up there gotta come out for the front. Not bad, not hard. This thing's a beauty though. Look at this bike. ODC front end, Galfer rotors. I just did those Bagger Brembo calipers for him a couple weeks ago. Nice TBR exhaust. This bike's done up to the T. What we're gonna do right now is just loosen up the crash bar a little bit. 1, 2, and with the power of editing, the other side's gonna magically disappear and I'll be able to slide this out. All right, now what we're gonna do is take these two bolts that are right here, and I'm gonna have to change the camera angle, and we're gonna crack those loose, along with the mounts that are covered up by the crash bar that you can't see me touching right now. Just crack them loose at first, and then we're gonna have to support the bike. Not support the bike, we're gonna have to support the engine up when we remove this, and I'll show you how I do that too. I'm sorry for the glare in the back. There's nothing I can do about that. That's my source of light. But you can see we got these bolts here, the mounting bolts there. Crack them loose. So I was going to show you guys how I normally support the engine and hold it up while I pull the front stabilizer, but some of you guys at home, not the front stabilizer, the front motor mount, but some of you guys at home might not have that tool, so I thought I'll show something and I'll try something new that might be able to help the guy who's doing the little DIY project at home. Go on the back of your girlfriend's Civic and take out one of these jacks. All you need is something skinny that can support the bottom of the engine, I mean. Let's twist it up. We're gonna see together if this works. I don't know. I'm just gonna spin that until I can see the motor mount move a little bit. See the engine moving there? Okay, well, I cannot get that bolt to clear, so I'm gonna pop off the two upper parts of the mount. I'm having a hard time accessing those bolts, so I'm going to drop down this voltage regulator. Just undo these two bolts right here, and then I'll be able to get this plastic housing out of the way for the O2 sensors. So, yep, drop that, and I'll be able to get a wrench right in there. And then that'll make it easier to torque it and everything later too. Believe that I had to drop that whole assembly to get that motor mount out, but it's not a big deal. We're gonna clean all this up real good anyway. It's got some road grime and grit on it. This mount actually doesn't look that bad at all. I've seen them way worse than that. Yeah, let's go clean them up. Let's check out what we got here. We've got the stock OEM motor mount, and then we've got this Glide Pro. This is supposed to get rid of a lot of the side-to-side lateral movement. And we've got this Sputhe stabilizer. I don't know exactly how this mounts up. There's some instructions right there. We'll check it out. Get it all torn apart and done up. And I need to chase the threads on these. They look good, but I'm gonna chase them, make sure there's no little boogers in there, get everything cleaned up nice and shiny. And by the time I turn this camera back around, everything's gonna be lightly assembled and ready to slide back into the bike. So right now, let's get a good angle in there. I've got the two top bolts torqued, okay? I've got these ones still loose, fairly loose. See? And then I've got, these are not the bolts that are gonna stay in there. I just set those in as I torque the top. Now I gotta figure out what order this Sputhe stabilizer is gonna sit in there, because these bolts are gonna be replaced with some different ones. All right, so I messed up. I put these old bolts back in there, and that's not the case. This is gonna sit at the top with some new longer bolts, and so now I gotta drop that thing back out after I just torqued it and set it in there the way that it's supposed to be. It's gonna be a little bit of a tight fit, but I'm gonna get it worked in there. So let me backpedal a little bit, pull that out, and I'm gonna drop the new parts in for the stabilizer. So as you saw, this is how the old assembly sat in there with two nuts on either side of that. The front bolts would go there, the top mount bolts would go there. And this is what the new assembly looks like. So you add this piece on. This little heim joint piece right here will mount up to a mount that goes in front of the frame. And we're gonna keep working through this thing. So I'm gonna install this back in there, retorque the top bolts, and keep plugging away. All right, so I cracked the code on this thing. I've got it all buttoned up back together. So it's gonna go bracket in front. You have that other bracket I was showing you mounted to the side, there's no more nut. The original bolt just threads into the new piece. You gotta spread your heim joint apart and then take all the slack out of it. You should have the lateral motion like that, or the kind of twisting motion like that, but nothing side to side. That's the whole purpose of this stabilizer. And then tighten down these nuts. I got a little Loctite in there. I got Loctite on all this. I got it all torqued down. The torque specs for these, let's run through them real quick. So the top bolts here are going to be front engine mounting bolts, 25 to 33. The isolator bolts, the upper bolts are 18 to 22 foot-pounds, and the lower bolts are 22 to 27. So engine mounting bolts, upper and lower. Now we can drop this down. This car jack actually worked really well. I might use this going forward. We're gonna put our engine guard back on up front. It's almost a shame to cover that up because it looks really nice in there. And then we're gonna tear the back down and add the rear stabilizer on the back. Pretty easy job. Just had to kind of work through and think about how that bracket went together. I could have just Googled it and found a picture. Oh well, not a big deal. Goes together pretty easy. I can't wait to see how this thing performs because I want to spend the money and get myself one. So backpedal a little bit. I said the OEM bolts go in there, and they do not. So I switched them out real quick with the bolts it came with. Not a problem. I don't know why I was able to pull them out now, and I couldn't do it earlier, but it's not a big deal. It all had to come apart pretty much anyway. So that's in. I'm getting the skid plate on now. That's what I started to do and realized that it did come with new bolts. So let's get this in here. Let's get it lined up, and then finally move to the rear. The other side real quick, maybe you can get a better view of what I'm doing. Probably not. Yeah, I can't get a camera angle for anything for that. So I'm gonna pull that other bolt out and then I'll kind of try to catch it as I pull the whole mount out as an assembly. All right, let's check it out. I disconnected the back bolts and I raised it up to be able to get the rear bolt undone. I still got to find a position where I can kind of loosen these up or have them loosened up and walk them out. I might have to put the other bolts back in here. Actually, I think that's what I'll do. I'm gonna lower it back down, set the other bolts in, and then free those up, undo that, and I'll be able to drop the mount out. This is reminding me of how much I really don't enjoy doing rear Dyna motor mounts. All right, well, I wanted to catch the rear motor mount coming out. I stuck an alignment bar in there and kind of loosened the top bolts, and when I went to go pull the alignment bar to get it ready to come out and record it, it just dropped out. This thing looks like brand new too, but can't go wrong with a little preventative maintenance. Let's compare it to the new one. All right, so here's the old mount here. Here's the new one. And here's the rear stabilizer that I'm gonna have to figure out the same way I figured out the front. Shouldn't be a big deal. I'm gonna try to get this slid back up in there first. All right, folks, well, I am out of time for today, but here's about how it's gonna go in there. These bolts right here are gonna go across into here. This is gonna wrap around the back side of the frame. This is gonna stick out the very rear, and then this link right here is gonna attach the two. So I will finish that tomorrow morning because I gotta go to work. All right, it's the next day. I'm gonna see if I can get a camera angle that'll show this thing sliding in there. It's kind of a tough spot. I'm gonna prep the bolts with some Loctite right now, and then get it loosely mounted and slid up in there. So we'll see how easy it goes. Starting from scratch. I pulled the mount back out. I'm gonna lift it up. I'm gonna try to put the top bolts in first. Yo, this thing has been kicking my. So I couldn't get it lined up, and I realized that the drivetrain had twisted a little bit, so that's why I couldn't get any of my bolts in. I disconnected the shocks on both sides, and I got my little alignment bar in there. The reason that it twisted is also the same reason why you get that Dyna wobble. Being connected to the swing arm is just a terrible design. So, I mean, you can have an FXR that you can never seal any leaks on, or you can have a Dyna that you're constantly chasing a wobble, or you can be one of those rich guys and go get yourself a brand new bagger. those are your options. But even that's gonna break still too eventually, I guess. I don't know, I'm rambling, but yeah, I'm relieved. I got this. It should be going together. I had to pull the chain guard off so I can access these bolts. Chain guard, belt guard. Had to pull the belt guard off so I can access those bolts, and then now we can get it back together. I'm gonna put it on a time lapse because I'm listening to some music, and it's kind of helping me focus through this, so you guys can see what I'm doing. Fast forward. Do I look defeated? Because I feel defeated. I succeeded. But that was rough. So I've got those torqued, got that tight. I just gotta put the belt guard back on and clean up all my grubby little fingerprints. That was an experience, to say the least. Not as easy as I thought it was gonna be. Maybe if I did a couple more of them, it'd come a little easier. I kind of know the order that everything's gotta go in now. It got rough when that frame shifted from the drivetrain. Getting all that line back up was a chore. Yeah, definitely one of the more difficult things I feel like I've done in a while, to be honest. And it's crazy because it's just 2, 4, 6 little bolts. But that's the name of the game. You win some, you lose some. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed that, thumbs up's appreciated. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you've got any questions about what I did, because I know some things weren't really easy to see, drop a comment and ask me. I'll get back to you, and I'll let you know how I solved it, what I did, whatever you need to know. Thank you.